Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale with SirTag back on the channel. Tag, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, Ash? I'm doing fantastic, man.
I am excited to have you back on. You know, I feel like you went from being, the resident minor pro here on CWA to the graveyard pro recently, because the last three times I think I've had you on have all been with graveyard decks. Would you say that graveyard's kind of like your new favorite archetype, or?
I mean, it's always been there, man, but I guess I love my Larrys.
Indeed, man, indeed. Well, this is the new graveyard deck we're going to be reviewing today. You've been dominating with it. I heard that you had a really great stream last night. You guys should make sure you follow and subscribe to a Tag on Twitch and YouTube. The links will be below. But tell us a little bit about this deck. I think there's like 3 or 4 cards different than the last graveyard deck that you shared on the channel. However, I guess the 3 main cards, one could argue, are the same in the Goblin Hut, Poison, and Graveyard.
Yeah, so the premise is exactly the same. The thing is, they poison the graveyard or they poison the Goblin Hut, and if they don't poison the Goblin Hut, then the Goblin Hut's going to get some serious value, just accruing so many Spear Goblins over time, chipping away at your opponent. And if they poison the graveyard, well, if they poison the Goblin Hut, then your graveyard will actually just get insane value on offense. So very rarely are there too many great counters to graveyard that aren't poisonable. So when Double Elixir hits and they poison your Spear Goblin Hut, usually you can outright win the game.
That's crazy, and we're going to be seeing some of that today. Go on, though.
But you were saying the card difference. So we took out the Musketeer and we put in the Electro Wizard. Electro Wizard does a little bit better against Minion Horde, and you would have that issue if you weren't able to drop an Ice Golem and Electro Wizard. Sometimes they could go in for a Minion Horde minor push with the 3 Musketeers and just completely obliterate your tower. And that was something that was always an issue. And now you're not going to have that problem. You're going to have Ice Golem, and then you immediately drop your Electro Wizard. The Minion Horde just evaporates, and you're fine.
Okay.
Another thing that we did was, because the Musketeer had so much DPS, you had to compensate for that. So we took out a few cards, and we put in the Mega Minion, and we also took out the Royal Ghost because it got a nerf. The Mega Minion compensates for the DPS between the Electro Wizard and the Musketeer, so that's going to be really beneficial for you.
Okay, and we have the guards in there as well now.
Yeah, we have the guards because the knight was nerfed, and you can't really use knight anymore. So
okay, cool. And you also have the log instead of zap. Any thought process behind that?
Log bait has kind of come back into the meta since Skeleton Barrel isn't really a thing. A lot of people have transitioned from Skeleton Barrel to Goblin Barrel, so I really like having log. Log is just safer in a lot of aspects, and log is just better, provides more damage. I just like the card more in general. It's just my stylistic preference. I've never really been too much of a fan of Zap, but Zap worked really well in the last meta when Skeleton Barrel was everywhere.
That's true. Okay. You know what? I want to start right with a difficult matchup. Then I want you to coach me for a match. Pray for all my viewers. And then we will go to just play-by-play on a few more difficult matchups. So let's start with probably, at least in my mind, the most challenging matchup where I have the most questions for you, Tag. And that is against Giovanni, the 3 Musketeer Dark Prince tech. I'm paused at the beginning. Let me know when you're with me, man.
I'm ready, man. So this is a horrible start. You got to brace yourself for this one.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, I guess start there with this awful starting hand. What do you do?
All right, man. So as you guys can see, he's got the pump. And we do not have the poison, so we can't really do anything. We're just going to be chilling, cycling cards in the back, and realizing that if we go in for a graveyard, there's absolutely no way to punish the pump if he drops a Goblin Gang or if he drops a Minion Horde. So that's one thing that you really got to realize with graveyard. Some situations, you're going to have a horrible starting hand, or with any deck, you got to play passively. You just don't want to go and just be like, all right, well, I really hope he's not running 3 Musketeers with Minion Horde. That's never the way to play the game. You always have to be cognizant that your opponent could potentially be running 3 Musketeers, and you have to accept sometimes you're going to start the game with a deficit. And that's what I did right there. Notice how I didn't even poison the pump yet. I was just chilling, waiting, accepted my huge deficit, and as you can see, we're kind of getting our way back into the game at this point, but
Indeed.
It's still a little bit rough.
Do you have, just a total side note, but do you have an opinion on the whole starting hand debate? Like, is it good for the game to have random starting hands? Is it bad for the game?
Yeah, so I posted my thoughts last night on Twitter, and I think that RNG, or random starting hand, inside of a card game is inherent. It has to be there. And that's not really something that you can change. for the competitive scene, it's not very good, obviously, because not always the better player doesn't always win. But if you look at games that are completely and utterly skill based, like StarCraft, it gets really boring really fast. It becomes almost mechanical. If you're able to choose your starting hand, if you're able to choose everything, the fun is kind of taken out of the game for a lot of people. So I like the aspect that there's a lot of randomness, but I also hate as a competitive player that, I could completely just get screwed over by not having my poison in cycle, and I could lose the game potentially because of that. If everything is played perfectly in the rest of the game, and I don't outplay him because of the advantage that he had early game, then he could win. So stuff like that is a little bit annoying, but you have to live with it, and you're not always going to have a 100% win rate inside of Clash Royale. You just have to do things to better your odds of winning, and that's the way I look at it. It's if I lose a game, I don't go and complain, oh, starting hand, oh, like all these things that could have influenced the game. Sure. You just look at it and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to see what I can improve in the game and improve from my side instead of being like, these are the issues and complaining about it, because it doesn't help you. There's not too much you can do about it if you're just constantly complaining. So
that's a good attitude, not only for Clash Royale, but for life.
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot's going on in this match, right? Maybe it was poor timing on my part for that question, but either way, two things that I want to discuss quickly here is that you attacked the lane that had the pump, and we talked about that last video, but just in case people missed that video, how dare you? Do you always, if they pump behind the tower, are you always going to attack that lane with Graveyard Poison or Graveyard?
Yeah, pretty much every single time, unless I know that I can finish off the right-hand tower before that, so... Okay. Almost every circumstance, if they pump behind the tower, I'm going to go in. The only time I wouldn't is if I know that they have Goblin Gang or Minion Horde and I don't have enough elixir to sauce out a poison. So if you have the ability to punish and you know that you can punish the pump, always do that, because you don't want to allow them to have that huge elixir advantage. And on top of that, you're going to get tower damage. So if they don't defend a Graveyard Poison, they're probably just going to outright lose their tower. So they're going to have to drop more units inside the poison. It's always going to be value for you.
So always go for the elixir pump poison, or excuse me, tower. Another thing that I noticed there is that you always use your poison on the pump if they placed it in front of the king tower. So then that kind of left you vulnerable to 3 Musketeers. It looked like your setup was you'll poison the pump, and then you'll try to cycle back to another poison, maybe playing a Goblin Hut first, and then like a Mega Minion cheap cards. Is that the case, pretty much?
So there's a lot of things that you can do to defend the 2 Musketeers, right? So you can drop guards on top of that, completely obliterates 2 Musketeers, 3 for 6 trade, or 3 for 8 trade if you want to count Musketeers for elixir. But it's really, really solid to just defend as efficiently as possible against Musketeers. It's all depending on what they split. So traditionally, I like to cycle my Electro Wizard in the lane of the 1 Musketeer, and then I like dropping either Ice Golem or Mega Minion on the lane of the 2, or I'll just drop guards on the lane of the 2. It's really dependent on how they set up their pushes and what decks they have. If they have Minion Horde or if they don't have Minion Horde, maybe I'll keep my Electro Wizard if I know that they have Minion Horde. I'll cycle it if I know that they don't. And it's all depending on what they run, but you always want to be cognizant of, okay, so I have this amount of damage on my tower. I can eat some damage and just defend efficiently. Sometimes you're going to eat tower damage against 3 Musketeers if they have a huge elixir advantage, and you have to be trying to split your tower damage on both sides. You want to make sure that you win in a 1-0 victory. You do not want this to go to a 1-1 scenario against 3 Musketeers. Otherwise, you're going to lose, because Graveyard just is not able to get tower damage when you lose a tower.
Okay, sounds good. I'm gonna hop into a lunar match. Hopefully, I'll win it. It's the first match of the challenge, and you can kind of coach me here. I'm playing your deck, so let's see how we do here. Thumbs up.
Sounds good, man.
Against General Old Bear. What's up, General? So I have a bad start. Well, not a bad starting hand, but I don't have. I have guards, Ewiz, log, and poison. Oh man.
Yeah. Do you have Spear Goblin Hut? You really want to be cycling to that.
So I'm gonna play it in the opposite lane.
Yeah, you just want to be cycling Spear Goblin Hut defensively. That's perfect.
Cool.
So you might have to use a poison on defense depending on what he's going to be dropping. Okay. You also want to see what type of... All right, so he's probably going to have no poison in this deck. He's probably going to have NATO, and he's probably going to have Zap. You can cycle your Electro Wizard off to the left-hand side.
Yep.
And then drop Ice Golem to block. Yeah.
Little bit. So, yeah.
Do you want to drop your Mega Minion? That would be really solid. Make sure that the baby dragon dies.
Yeah, a little bit late on that.
Nice.
But Got there. Okay, so now just hut again?
Yeah, you can just hut, but I would just play a little bit defensively, see if they're actually going to pump up or if he doesn't have pump, because he actually has log in this deck. I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting the NATO and the zap as soon as you see Baby Dragon. Okay,
oh,
so yeah, there's the...
Okay, so should I just graveyard poison right here?
Yeah, so he doesn't actually probably have any counters. It's a golem deck that is... Yeah, he doesn't have any counters to that, so that's definitely going to be a dead pump. And you're going to do so much damage to his tower. Alright, so he probably doesn't have poison in this deck since he has pump and 2 spells already. It would be absurd to have 3 spells and then a pump. So you can always stack Electro Wizards against this guy. The one thing that you have to be ready for is he's probably going to NATO, so you want to make sure you stagger your units so he can't get a really nice NATO. So
okay, and which you did.
Yeah, you might have to poison on defense if he drops a Night Witch. Okay.
I went kind of with the preemptive poison there. Maybe didn't need it, but
it's all good. Just make sure that the Mega Minion or the Baby Dragon doesn't lock on your tower. You're in a great situation.
Yeah. Okay. So it seems like I'm doing all right. Just like a few maybe timing things, and probably didn't need that. But I'm just gonna poison. I didn't even see him drop that pump there. Okay, so
yeah, man.
We kind of predicted that it would be easy, but hey, that's what we need for learning, right, Tag?
Yeah, man. Sometimes it's best like this. The Ledger is actually going to be doing really well for you. Make sure that you poison the left-hand side. That Night Witch has to pop in that poison. You need to get a few hits off on the Night Witch.
He was going down.
Nice.
Get that taken care of.
Awesome. So you can just go cycle a Goblin Hut and you're going to be fine now. Just cycle a Goblin Hut in the middle.
Sure.
As soon as you get that chance, yeah. So when people are playing really offensive against you,
he was going so aggressive.
Yeah. So you have Electro Wizard, you have Goblin Hut. You can get some serious positive elixir trades on defense. And when they start spamming stuff like this, you will always win the game if you space out your units properly. The only things that you could have done a little bit better that game is just dropping units a little bit faster. Like, you know how the Baby Dragon got a few hits off on your tower? Could have dropped a Mega Minion a little bit faster to knock it off.
Okay. Yeah, that was totally accurate there. Let's go. Let's do because King Isaac is a pro player. Let's watch that replay against him.
Sounds good, man.
He was playing a P.E.K.K.A deck. P.E.K.K.A, Ewiz, Poison. So he has a few decent. I mean, basically, whenever anybody has poison, obviously, like we talked about, you're just trying to bait it out with the Goblin Hut or Spirit Goblin them to death, right?
Yeah, pretty much, man. It's that's usually what you want to do. You want to play passively usually until you determine what counters they have. So
okay, cool.
You're gonna see me play pretty passively in this game until I see that he baits out a poison or see what exactly type of deck he's running. I don't really want to get too feisty with him.
And how does that change into double elixir time? Do you get? Let's say you play passively all the way to double elixir time, and then you're still not able to bait out a poison, and he's blocking your Spirit Goblins, so it's still pretty even. Will you kind of shift up your play style at that point?
I really haven't seen a deck that's able to block all the Spear Goblins cost efficiently and then without a poison. It just doesn't seem possible for me. I think Spear Goblin Hut is really OP at the moment, man. You're actually able to stack multiple if they don't poison them, and then that's a huge issue for them.
Yeah, you're just screaming for the poison at that point, and when they do, then you're clear. All right, let's do this. 3, 2, 1, play against Isaac. And again, this time I won't ask you any big macro game questions while we're doing the replay. So
all good.
So starting hand here, you never really have a great starting hand unless you have Goblin Hut, right? To make the first move.
I mean, I really like having Spear Goblin Hut, or I like having Ice Golem because Ice Golem can be cycled in the back, and there's really no consequence of it, right? It's a 2 elixir card, and you're just kind of cycling a card that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Spear Goblin Hut, it always gives you utility at the start of the game, and it's a really safe passive play. And it has potential of baiting out a poison right off the bat. So there's so many benefits of cycling Spear Goblin Hut at the start, and cycling Ice Golem is just something that's not too bad. I never really had a great starting hand in the last 2 games.
Yeah, because when you think about it, if you start with a Goblin Hut, the opponent really there's no answer. There's no appropriate answer to that where they can punish you, right? I mean,
not really.
Yeah.
I mean, they could go Expo opposite lane, but that's about it. And I mean, even then, it depends what they have for an Expo counter or what they have with their Expo deck. It just seems like there's not too many answers to the Spear Goblin Hut.
And look now you catch him with the most awkward defensive hand.
Yeah, so we finally strung together a cohesive push here, and we see that we get a very nice poison because he doesn't actually have poison in cycle.
Yeah.
His answers were very, very minimal. He had to drop a Mega Minion, he had to drop an Electro Wizard. We were able to clip both of those and the tower. So always getting value when you bait out your opponent's poison because they just don't have any defensive counters to graveyard.
Yeah. If it was, let's say he dropped just a Mega Minion, like something really poor and unorthodox that doesn't do a good job defensively against graveyard, would you take that poison value if you had the elixir, or would you want to make sure, or Lumberjack, let's use a better example, like a Lumberjack, something that's not going to be killed necessarily by poison, but would you use it in that circumstance?
So with his deck, it's kind of bridge spammy. In single elixir, it's never worth doing that.
Okay.
But in double elixir, it's definitely worth it if you're up a lot of elixir and you just want to convert into more tower damage and not have to deal with the lumberjack on the counter push. But
So there you graveyard. Why did you graveyard there knowing he had poison in hand?
I just wanted to cycle more Spear Goblin Huts. So it can also be used as, okay, I want to be able to have some very nice defensive capabilities. He's not going to be able to poison my guards. He's not going to be able to poison my Spear Goblin Hut. I can drop an Electro. He's not going to be able to poison that. So there's so many things in this situation that are working great for me.
See,
And,
I feel like that's the key. That's a really good point, because you can bait out poison with graveyard, and help you the other way.
The thing with this deck that's a little bit better is you have guards and you have Electro Wizard. Those are very susceptible to poison.
Yeah.
Especially in this giant Prince meta now. Your Electro Wizard is going to stop the Prince from charging. The guards are going to stop the Prince from charging. So this deck completely obliterates giant Prince decks. And it's like not even fair at the moment compared to the Musketeer deck. So that's another great thing. If you're able to bait out your opponent's poison and they can't poison the Spear Goblin Hut, guards, and Electro Wizard, they're going to have a really poor time dealing with that. And they're going to be very sad. Another thing that you traditionally do want to do, since you have Mega Minion and you have guards, you want to be dropping your Mega Minion and your guards up a little bit higher when they have those princes, in case they do go in for a really ballsy poison. So then they aren't able to hit your tower, your Spear Goblin Hut, and everything with a poison. So that's another thing you kind of have to be cognizant of.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and there you go. Last poison gets it done, and boom.
Yeah,
man, well played.
I just never really like dropping my Electro Wizard or my anything poisonable vicinity of the Goblin Hut unless I know that they're gonna poison out of range. Like, I want to wait for their poison to. I'm trying to bait out their poison with the Spear Goblin Hut, and then I drop my Electro Wizard kind of out of range, and my guard's always out of range.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do want to show, I think we have time for one more replay. I want to show the last one. It goes like really deep into the game, but it is against like kind of a new meta bait deck, which is pretty different and cool. The other one is against I think a bridge spam deck as well. So do you want to watch this one in double time?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, all these people that I've been playing against are either pro players or people that have 20K cards won, or 200K cards won rather, and all 20 wins. So these people that I shared are really solid players.
Yeah, for sure. And if people are wondering why we didn't share the 11th and 12th win, obviously Tag rattles off 12-win GCs every day, but you were approaching 700,000 cards won, and you actually want to do a special video on that. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I'm sitting at 10-1 right now, and I'm waiting until Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern for my stream. So that's going to be when I hit 700K cards won. So it's going to be pretty hype.
Awesome. I think this video will go out then, so you guys might want to go check it out live right now if you're the notification squad. All right, so let's do this. I am in double speed. 3, 2, 1, play.
All right,
so yeah, obviously
good.
It's going to be a little bit more difficult to do like a play-by-play at double speed, but maybe just kind of, again, just walking us through the thought process here on decision making and stuff.
So
like
this matchup really illustrates the patience that you have to have with Graveyard. You're going to see me not be able to go in for graveyards at almost every single point in the game. This situation, I do go in for a graveyard early on because the princess was close to the tower, so I was guaranteed value. But as soon as I saw the prince and I saw all these zap bait cards, I knew that I could get punished immediately if I go in for one poor graveyard.
Indeed, yeah. And this is like where do you think you would have lost this matchup if you had the old zap version of the deck?
With how well he played this, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
It was something that I had to really struggle with. I had to play extremely patient, stack as many Spear Goblin Huts as possible, and try to snipe the princesses. Because if the princesses get out of control, you will lose the game. You can't log the princess because then he goes in for a prince plus Goblin Barrel, and you kind of just lose. I'm trying to kill the princess, as you just saw right there with the Electro Wizard. Sniping the princess in the left-hand lane, having your Electro Wizard go in the right-hand lane is something that you can always do. That's really key tip. If you're running an Electro Wizard, Musketeer, a ranged unit, even a Wizard or an Ice Wizard, it still can snipe a princess in the left-hand lane if placed like in the middle, but still going in the right-hand lane. It's really solid.
Oh my god, this push is lethal right now, but you defended so well.
Yeah, we did not allow the Electro Wizard to get hit. So if the Electro Wizard is surviving, it's going to stun the Prince, it's going to stun the Dark Prince, and those are the things that you always have to do. You got to make sure that you're keeping the key units alive on defense at all costs. I'm always trying to keep the Electro Wizard alive. I'm trying to keep my Mega Minion alive, and then I know that I'm going to get utility out of them.
Okay, that's a good tip there. And especially with all the Prince meta right now, Dark Prince as well now, right? I think that Ewiz is probably better than, possibly better than ever, even with the two kind of small nerfs.
Also, if you saw that, I used the Ice Golem to pull the Prince's opposite lane, then use my Electro Wizard to stun. So there's so many things that you can do with this deck just for improvisation, just to slow down their pushes.
There you go, you got it.
Yeah.
Nice, man. That was pretty epic.
He was a really good player.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best players I've ever played in a GC.
Wow, dude. That was, that guy was a beast. I wonder who he is. But some Japanese pro, I guess. But
for sure.
Hey, man, you have the 700K challenge card stream on Wednesday. Anything else coming up in the world of SirTag that we should know about?
I'm just starting to push ladder a little bit more. I hit 27 in the world last stream. So I'm going to be putting up YouTube videos every single day, SirTag CR, and also I'm starting to put up more Instagram posts as well. So you guys can check out my Instagram. You can check out my Twitch. Everything is SirTag CR, and I hope to see you guys there.
All right, Tag, thanks for joining us, man.
No doubt, man. It was a pleasure coming on. Thanks, Ash.
It was a pleasure having you, man. No problem. So, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Again, all that information will be listed in the description for you guys. Thank you for watching till the end. I really appreciate it. Huge shout out to Bren Chong, my YouTube partner. Check out his information along with tags, again, in the description below. Guys, thank you. And as always, take care, guys.